In case you can't tell by the name, Yikes Murder and Stuff contains themes that are not suited for children. It's also no good for the workplace and probably not your Mima and your Papa either. We're going to talk about some grim subject matter, probably make uncomfortable jokes, and we're definitely going to be cursing. But if that's something you're into, then put your headphones on and hop in our nondescript windowless van and come see the puppies.
Flesh wrap fish. Am I right, people? Am I right?
Right.
It's going to be the last hot meal that they eat.
Nope. It'll be the second to the last because the first guy that barfs it up and somebody eats the barf, that will also be hot.
Oh, no. My ears. My tummy.
I know. I don't have any unsea juice for that mental image, but...
I'm just going to keep eating the compass. I'm fine.
Oh, I found the compass again. Nice pate.
This musket ball is delicious. Thanks. I'm good.
Yes, it is.
So, everybody felt better, but you know what? The fireplace actually caught fire and they had to throw it in the sea. So
you don't say.
Oh, there goes that.
Oh, gee.
The three of the very worst lifeboats. I wanted to mention this because sailors are starting to drink their own pee. And somebody...
Well, hey, you can do that.
That's right. That they're
okay. If you are under dire circumstances, you may drink your urine.
Yep.
I don't suggest doing it every day as normal routine in your diet. Okay.
Don't just start doing it like the girl who drinks her dog's pee. Don't do that. There was a quote in one of the books that said, there was a notable difference between the taste of the urine from one man to another, and I won't even go into how grossly this was described.
Well,
but
you know what, though? It might be gross, but it is extremely interesting. To me, it is extremely interesting because I want a diary of everything this man's been doing because I want to know exactly why your pee tastes the way that it does.
I'll tell you one thing. It's because some of them ate the asparagus.
Hey, there you go. See?
For some reason, I had asparagus. Oh, no, that's why. It's not for some reason, because there was leftovers.
There's always a reason you eat asparagus. It's not just for some reason.
No. I was like, why would I have made it twice? But then I remembered it was leftovers. But, you eat asparagus, then your pee smells like asparagus. Well,
no, it doesn't smell like asparagus. It smells like way worse than asparagus.
Right, but you would think, okay, well, I'm going to eat this thing, and then it's going to make its way through my system, whatever, like that. I swear, you could be eating a piece of asparagus while you're peeing. Your pee would smell like asparagus, like, instantly. Like, I don't know how it does it, but...
Oh, yeah.
Bazam! I'm like, ugh.
Oh, maybe one day we'll go into the elements and the makeup of asparagus itself and why it has this effect on your ear.
Oh, I looked it up once because I was like, fuck, the cat box is in here, and the cats are like, ugh.
The cats are like, you disgust me.
Yeah,
Are you going to eat asparagus, sir?
Yeah, well.
When was the last time you licked yourself?
When's the last time you cleaned yourself? And this does make me also wonder, were you peeing in the cat box? If they were like, can you stop that, please?
We don't pee in your toilet.
Don't come and put your asparagus piss in our box, sir.
I might cut this part out, but you guys let me know, because in the book, the guy said that there was some people whose urine was very, very thick and chunky.
That was the guy that ate the compass.
Yeah, he had to mention that for some reason in the book. I was like, why?
Well, because out of all the things that you've said right now, that's the most fucked up one.
Right. Well,
everyone else is peeing and there's this one guy shooting corn chowder out of him.
I want to know how he gets corn chowder out of his urethra.
It had to have been like that before that can't be raft related. Like, he was very sick.
No, that guy had syphilis or something. It's some sort of...
He had a pre-existing condition. Okay. Yeah. Let's just put it that way.
He needs to kick him off the raft.
I am very, very interested in knowing how you pass corn chowder through the urethra, because you can't pass a kidney stone. I need to know about this.
Well.
I am very, very interested in if you gave everybody on Earth the choice of, hey, you know what? You have to pee the regular number of times in a given day, but it's going to be corn chowder instead of pee. or Mike Tyson in his prime will punch you right in the jaw.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to pee corn chowder.
No, man. I think I'll just take the punch because if it doesn't kill me, I'll survive. If I do, unfortunately, expire from getting punched by Mike Tyson, then I won't have to worry about pissing 5 to 6 times a day corn chowder. So
worth it. Now that we have dwelled pretty long on pee, let's move on. All the other people from the other boats that aren't the captain and his buddies and the governor and his buddies are like, let's go to shore. Don't care. Let's do this. They go to shore. I'm just going to sum this all up that eventually everybody who went to shore gets found by locals and they help them out and they feed them goats and they clothe them and they end up going back to St. Louis, and it takes a while because they are like 250 miles away still. So the locals found them, fed them, gave them places to sleep and guided them 250 miles back to St. Louis. So they all did all right. The captain, the governor's barges, they are fine. They are way south of everybody else. And they're approaching St. Louis by the 9th or 10th. They're already getting close to getting there.
Okay, wait a minute. I need some clarification.
Yeah.
St. Louis, not Missouri.
Oh, I am so sorry. Yes. Their final destination is a place called St. Louis, Senegal. It's a port city.
I'm going to tell you right now, when you said you got about 200 miles to St. Louis, I was like, whoa. Maybe all the inches on a map.
Yeah.
All right.
In what universe would they be 200 miles from St. Louis, Missouri and still stranded on a raft?
Okay, that is why I said I needed clarification, okay?
Maybe they were at the mouth of the Mississippi. You don't know. Maybe they
That's true.
drifted that far.
I could have been up there with the fucking Tom Sawyer for all you know. You don't know.
Yeah, but the Mississippi is big, but it's not that big. Like you could.
But it is St. Louis of Senegal, and that
Thank
port
you.
city is still there. At the time, it was a small outpost. Slave trading, a lot of slave trading went on there. That's a whole nother story, and I don't think we're going to cover that. They're the closest to St. Louis because obviously they have the best boats. They're highly provisioned, and they have hardly anybody in them. And that nice chair, yeah, right?
Two chairs.
Got like a little umbrella, right? Kicking his feet up, drinking wine. It's not bad. At this time, because they're all gluttonous assholes, they'd eaten all of their fucking provisions and drank all their waters except for like 3 bottles of fancy wine, which the fucking captain decided to gift to the governor's wife instead of sharing with the people on the boats.
Way to go, Cap.
That's all they had left because they're idiots. So some stupid reason they decided to do that. The soldiers are getting pissed off because the rationing is obviously not fair. But luckily, a ship comes up. And it's the Argus, one of the ships that were in the original fleet. And the ship comes alongside of them, and they're just like, who are you guys? And they're like, we're 2 boats from the Medusa. And the captain's like, of the Argus is like, what? Who? Because nobody knows the Medusa has even wrecked.
Oh.
So the captain repeats it, and they throw him a rope, and she comes aboard. And so the captain of the Argus is like, where's the Medusa? What happened? And some other guy has to answer because Deschamps couldn't even answer the question. He's like, her captain will tell you in a moment.
He yielded his time to someone else.
Give him some time. He's having some PTSD right now, which I'm sure he was. The man's not cut out to do this job. Let's just face it. So now the only thing left in the water at this point is the fucking raft. The most unseaworthy of the vessel. All these people are still left in the water. Right?
Well, I guess it was the most seaworthy because it's still in the water. So take that.
These engineers, man.
Okay. All right. I like that hot take. I like that.
That's one thing that they did. They kept the damn thing afloat. We're going to just gloss over here 9th through the 13th of what happened on the raft. More infighting happens again. Some of the African soldiers that were on the boat were like, I know we're close to land. Get us in here, figure out, do something, or we're going to take over this boat. And lots of stabbiness happened again. It stormed again. For some reason, when it gets stormy, it gets stabby. So 30 people gone that night. There are only a few fish left. And these are tiny fish. They're just little, small, like fingerlings, little tiny. And a little human meat remained, also raw and water soaked, mind you. So
I mean, it's not even jerky at this point. It's just nasty, soggy.
No, it's just been floating in the water for a couple of days now. So 4 days of wine is pretty much left for 30 men. So they start making some decisions. They knew no search was coming. So they start planning on how are we going to live longer?
Oh.
I got an idea. See these 2 people over here who are pretty badly injured? Let's kill them. They kill a lady who had her thigh broken. who had served France for 20 years as like, she was a concession lady. So I imagine she worked in the kitchen.
She sold hot dogs. Step right off.
Guillotine
Step
hat.
right off.
Guillotine hat.
Cracker Jacks. We're coming full circle.
That's right.
She sold at the guillotine market.
That's right.
But this is unfortunately what happens when you're partaking in the fun-filled marketplace of the guillotine. Then you have to be eaten first on the raft.
When you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and that's exactly what they did.
Wow.
So four guys got
That's
together,
right.
and they're like, "Well, let's going to sneak up on him." Like, what are you going to sneak up on him? But they're like, "Oh yeah, she was unconscious." This was the narrative from the guy who actually ordered the stuff done. So I imagine he's probably doing a little glossing over himself, you know?
I just want to know how they would even begin to explain how they would sneak up on someone in this situation.
Right? It's not like it's all out in the open or something. And they keep taking things apart. It's absolutely ridiculous. Her husband was also injured too, so they ended up killing him also and just throwing them overboard. Then they all got some sort of, let's throw all of our instruments of death overboard, except for these couple little 2 or 3 things that we might need to, cut ropes. So I guess they threw a bunch of stuff overboard because they quote unquote felt so bad or whatever.
So this was the beginning of the reality show we know now as Survivor.
Yeah. It's been real. It's getting realer. So now about this time, we go back to St. Louis. Governor Schmalz and Captain DeChambery, they're rescued. These fucking guys, they're like, okay, Argus, I want you to take a couple provisions, not much, because there's probably nobody alive, and just go around the coast as close as you can. If you see anybody, go send them a barrel, but definitely get to the Medusa and take as much as you can off of the Medusa. There's 90,000 francs there, and I better see 90,000 francs when you get back.
You're telling me they had 90,000 hot dogs on the ship? They didn't even think to eat them?
Don't tell the dolphins, for God's sake. You thought you had to worry about sharks.
No.
Those dolphins hear about those fucking hot dogs. It's over with, man.
Yeah, but you don't know how much francs are worth in France. They're very, very hard to come by, and they're worth a lot of money. The governor's just like, the people on the raft, they're dead. I don't even know if he's telling anybody about it, but he just basically said, this was all an accident. And the quote is, "It's a pity the raft was abandoned, for there were many brave fellows on board. But their sufferings are over now, and they may be happier than we know, for who knows how all this will end? Who knows? I mean, it's pretty shitty for us.
They could have found Atlantis.
Right. Maybe they got swooped up in a hurricane and they're living large they're in heaven now, and it's just so much better. I don't know what he's talking about. He's just an asshole. He's telling the Argus, fuck those guys. They're dead. God bless them. They're dead. So don't even look for them. Of course, DeChambery's just like, tow ropes broke. What could I do?
You gave us very subpar ropes that were not knife-proof.
Yeah, so there's an English governor there by the name of Colonel Brereton. You got to see this guy, right? He sees this ragtag band of ships come through. These 2 ships come in. He's just like, where the fuck's your flagship? Where's the commander of this bitch? And they're like, I don't know. And then he comes rowing in with the Argus on lifeboats, and they've been out to sea for days at a time. And it's basically the whole disarray. The colonel's like, you know what? I think we're going to hang on to Senegal for a little while because this does not look good. So he's just like, okay, we're going to just wait for 6 months and then, you guys could take it over at that time. But right now, this is terrible. This does not look like a good thing that's going to happen. DeChambery's like, no, dude, we got this. We got this. Seriously, it's like we lost the charts and the log. Somehow, all the captain's logs and all the charts were lost.
Captain's log?
Right. Well, that's like the one thing you're not ever supposed to lose, apparently. Funny thing, all the other ships did not lose it. So they all wrote in their logs what was happening, but DeChambery's just like, hey, we were off course. Can't prove whether I was right or wrong. No, there's nothing written down about it because...
Oops, lost it. Yeah.
Well, what happened was one of the passengers said, logs float. So they grabbed it and jumped into the sea.
So I threw them overboard to sea.
Yeah.
I gave it to someone as a life jacket. Use this log.
If you find that guy, you should arrest him right away.
Some of the people on the land that ended up in St. Louis, they were greeted by the entire town. So like some dude with a boat says, there's survivors. They're coming in right now. And, and they're like, awesome. So the whole town shows up to greet the survivors from who knows where, because nobody knows if they're from the raft or from the other lifeboats or whatever. Everybody in town shows up to greet them except for Schmaltz and Deschammery.
They're shitting their britches right now.
Oh, yeah. The French are like, well, we don't have any money for you because our ship sank and all the hot dogs are on the Medusa. We don't have anything for you. So the English is like, cool, we'll take care of them. Fine, we'll pay for this. But we have this tiny hospital that's an outpost that is supposed to take 2, 3, 4. It's like a little tiny clinic, and they have like 100 people that need care. It's a mess. But again, the colonel for the English is like, okay, we got you. Come stay at some private homes, and we'll take care of you, since the French is obviously not doing that. Anyhow, back to the raft. A couple of sailors are like, okay, see these people who died? Let's pretend to be them, and we'll drink their rations. And they've been secretly drinking from the wine barrel anyways. But at this point, nobody's fucking around anymore. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, you stealing wine for the rest of us? We're throwing you overboard. So they just start throwing people overboard who are like drinking the wine. So
mayhem is mayhem.
Oh, yeah. There's 15 people left on board at this point. There's hardly any wine left. So if you're going to fuck it up for the rest of us, then we're just going to kill you. So it's gotten pretty bad. They're starting to see butterflies and gulls and stuff, like signs of being near land. So they get kind of hopeful, and they start taking apart some timbers, and they build like a platform to kind of get themselves off of the water a little bit. And they uncover like 30 cloves of garlic and some little bottles of tooth cleaning liquid, and they eat and drink that.
What if vampires come?
They'll be safe. They ate all that garlic. I don't know if the toothpaste negates eating that garlic, so...
Right. That's just...
It might still be in a boatload of trouble. No pun.
If there's butterflies and gulls, surely there are vampires floating around out here.
Anything's possible at this point with this story. I would not be surprised if Dracul himself flew up.
Yeah. God, it would probably be a great respite. You're just like, oh, there's no blood here, buddy. Just move along.
Sorry,
we got
disappoint.
nothing. We all weigh collectively 80 pounds here, so
we only weigh 80 pounds, and we are running on wine coursing through these veins, not blood, sir. Okay,
yeah, like 6 drops gets you wasted. Then they're drinking each other's urine here at this point. This is another quote where the guy's like, "Some men's urine was more agreeable than others."
I've got a great mental image right now. It's like when you go to the bar and they have what did we say? We're down to 15 people at this point.
Yeah.
You get 15 great different beers to choose from on tap. Okay, so it's like...
Yeah, it's like a urine flight.
I think I'm going to take Honeydew over there with the red hair. I'm try that urine today.
Let me get a taster.
Ginger urine for today.
So, and there's like one dude on the raft at this point who's just been drinking seawater the whole time, and he's fine. He's just fine with it. He's like, I don't know what this guy... It might be the guy with the thick pee. I don't know.
He might be clam chowder guy. Clam chowder.
Maybe that's the problem. This is the dude who's been drinking seawater, and he's like, I'm fine.
You might want to stay away from the very last beer or the very last urine on tap down there. That's a little chunky.
Oh, I thought that was a dipping sauce.
Tartar sauce.
Yeah. Well, big sharks start to surround the raft, but they're actually like basking sharks. So people aren't even afraid of them. They're just like hopping in the water to cool off, whatever. They're sharks. Doesn't matter. They literally don't care whether they get eaten or not. They just don't give a shit. They try again to catch another shark or to catch fish. Doesn't work. Let's see. The 16th, they decide they're going to take apart the raft and build a canoe, and it capsized. And they were just like, fuck it. We're fucked. Let's just build a little tent here and just sit inside of it and talk about the good old days. And
when there were so many other people on the raft.
Do you remember Mary? It's unfortunate what happened to her.
Remember the broken thigh? Yeah. Remember when I killed that dude?
Yeah, remember when we told them to stick their head between the logs? Good time.
Yeah.
Well, they have the fond stories, and
the last of their human meat is starting to really stink, so they can't eat it because it's going super bad. And they finish the rest of the wine, so that's all gone. They're basically like, we're going to die. So the very next day, just by chance, totally by chance, the fucking Argus pulls up next to him.
Woo!
They were like, okay, there aren't any people on shore. Let's double back and look for the Medusa. And while they were doubling back, they almost ran into the raft. They're like, holy fuck, there are people here.
This is a tent floating in the middle of the water. Somebody investigate.
But some guy gets out to take a piss. I don't know why. You might as well just piss right there because fucking everybody's drinking everybody's urine. But
Well, I was about to say, they heard somebody taking a piss and they all ran out of that tent because they were like, oh, a new substance to drink.
yeah, right? They see the boat and they're just fucking, oh my God. Can you imagine what this boat, the Argus, sees when they pull up alongside these guys? And they're like, holy shit, there's a part of a dead dude rotting in the sun.
Oh, yeah.
And like, everybody's like super skinny. They're like Christian Bale and the Machinist. Everybody's wounded and bloody and naked, and like their skin is just so sunburned, it's like blackened. They're just wasted figures. And some of the dudes are still like hallucinating because some guy tries to jump off the ship and it's like, I gotta go get my pocketbook, BRB. And they're like, no.
He's close
Come
to
back.
the veil, okay? I need you to come back in, sir. We're not looking for your pocketbook. I like this image of some of them still hallucinating, though, because it's almost like, they pop out of the tent. They're like, oh, hey, come on in. We got a new nightclub over here. Come on in.
Yeah. We're just about to start a fire.
Yeah, hey, come on. The rave's just starting up, guys.
And this is what I'm wondering all the time when they were like, oh, that's a flicker in the ocean. Was it phosphorescence? Or was they actually hallucinating? Or did they actually see butterflies? Or was it,
Or was it bioluminescent algae?
bioluminescence? That's right. That's right. So, but it was like the craziest of coincidences that they were found. So
Ooh.
they were a lot further out to sea than they had thought. They were still 2 days from St. Louis. So they had really just been drifting in place.
Oh, so they were seeing all these butterflies and they were like, we're so close to home. No, you're still 2 days out from land.
So they get to have some eats and stuff and they go back in. DeChambre and Governor Schmaltz are both there to greet them. They knew that somehow, I guess they send a boat out and say, oh, here comes the Argus and they're coming in with some survivors or whatever. And they're like, oh, well, we should probably be there this time.
I was about to say, wonder why they changed their tune all of a sudden.
If the guys from the raft was kind of a big deal, they're like, oh, shit. Here come 15 accusations, 15 witnesses to what we did. And
Can I get a witness?
15 of them. Everybody who abandoned the Medusa is now accounted for. They've got everybody who left the Medusa.
Ooh.
They're missing a few people. There's still those people who were left on the Medusa. Y'all remember them?
Oh, yeah, the ones that were like, man, we'll just hang out.
That's right. They're still there.
Living their best life, okay?
Right. So because they've made all of these sound decisions, the governor's like, there's no way those people are still alive on Medusa. No way. That's got to be dead. Take your time, getting a salvage operation going on. We'll go get them. Yeah, whatever. Basically, they said, you're going to take this little schooner and you're going to go get those hot dogs off the Medusa.
Save the hot dogs.
I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but they could have sent the Echo or the Loire or I think the Echo was going to head back to France and take some of the survivors back.
Look, the Echo said, we're done with this bullshit.
Well, they also had to go back to France and say, we lost the Medusa, total loss. Can we get some more stuff? So, I mean, taking survivors back wasn't even like the first objective on the list. So, but anyways, he takes a schooner out to salvage the Medusa, but then they had shitty wind and they didn't have enough provisions, so they had to go back. They took off again. The governor's like, take the schooner again. It's like, all right. So then they go back and then her sails got all torn up in a storm, so they had to go back again. And then they have their sails repaired. And they could have taken the Loire or the Argus, but fuck no. Governor's like, take the schooner again. So then he goes out again. So they've spent a month fucking around going back and forth with the schooner. But late August, they finally get to the Medusa. And the number one priority was get those 3 barrels of drinks.
Right. Yeah. Money.
Right. They find 40 barrels of supplies. They find a bunch of sails, some tools, some furnitures, personal luggage and belongings of the passengers, of like survivors, and 3 people still alive.
Hey!
Oh, man. Can you imagine?
Yes.
We're over here.
They're like, oh, wait, hold on a second. Have you seen those hot dogs?
Yeah.
We ate them. Okay.
We've been eating Franks this whole time. We're not supposed to be doing that.
Well, they had just run out of supplies too, so it was kind of good timing that they got there when they did. Everybody else had made a raft, and like one dude like tried to float off on a chicken coop because they pretty much thought no one's coming back for us on a chicken coop, right?
Not a chicken coop. Come on.
Right.
That's like using a net for a sail.
I know, like a hammock.
A chicken coop is just a bunch of holes nailed together.
No.
All you do with a chicken coop is staple it to your front porch so your toddler doesn't fall over in between the railings.
Right.
That didn't happen to anybody else
No,
as a child, just me.
Right.
Yeah, you toe-picking hillbilly. No, it didn't happen there.
Man.
And that's
I'm
chicken
telling
wire, not
you.
the coop.
No. I had
Look.
chicken coop around mine.
You were raised in a chicken coop, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Hey, don't you know by now? Can't you tell?
Some people it's a barn, some people it's a coop.
Raised in a chicken coop, and it shows.
Hey, some people it's a coop, some people it's paradise. It's a mansion.
It wasn't paradise to this guy because he drowned. Everybody watched him drown.
I know. Unfortunately, wah wah.
Right. So these three guys were like, okay, well, let's just stay here. Let's just take our chances. So I guess the raft made it to shore, but some of like the locals found the raft, but they didn't find the people. So it looks like that didn't pan out so well either. So they take these guys back. And of course, 3 more witnesses to what happened.
They're starting to add up here.
They get back there and they're like, we found all this stuff on all these personal belongings that belong to the survivor. And the Governor Schmaltz is like, well, everything that's on the ship belongs to the monarchy because the ship belongs to the king. So you don't actually get to even keep your own clothes.
Oh,
I'm so cool.
now that's some BS.
A really funny part is that Renaud gets back and he's like, look at these fancy vases I found. And Deschambray's like, those are my vases. So, and the governor's like, well, thank you very much. Because it's like everything belongs to me.
This is mine, and this is mine.
But the survivors are just infuriated because they're like, you almost killed us all. You're idiots.
Now you're taking all of our stuff.
We don't even have clothes. The English had to donate clothes to them because the French wouldn't pay for any of it because Schmaltz didn't ask them to. Or he never divvied anything out. Somehow, this is a neat little coincidence. One of Governor Schmaltz's friends was a commercial salvager. So he said, hey, buddy, why don't you go out there and see what you can find out on the Medusa, and I'll split it with you 50-50. He's like, okay, cool, let's do it. And he came back and he's like, hey, Schmaltzy, we didn't find any hot dogs. We know Frank's out there. So, wink, wink.
Yeah,
So a lot of that public auction, like people were coming in to like buy things as souvenirs from the wreck.
Oh my
And
gosh.
meanwhile, these people are like languishing in the hospital going, what the fuck? Where are my clothes? Can I just please have my shoes back? And Renaud's like, no, they're a good prize.
Oh,
And-
wait. The nurse comes up and she's, giving you your medicine and you're like, those are my fucking shoes, lady.
It's like, I know.
Oh, these? No, these are mine.
I just got them at an auction this morning.
Like, don't you love this new find from the Goodwill?
It's just more and more and more fucked up. I mean, it's so fucked up that Savigny's on the boat on the Echo going back to France, and he's writing a letter. He's like, I'm going to write this a detailed account of everything that I witnessed that happened to be on the raft. But also, Governor Schmaltz's daughter was like writing her friends going, ew, these guys ate people. And
Of course
and
she
her
was.
friends, so it was kind of like her friends and the aristocratic people, whatever, these bougie people were like, oh my God, this, and they kind of thought it was just a rumor. And it really hadn't gotten around to the regular Frenchies. And so when the Echo got to France, Savigny was like, I gotta go to the hospital. I'm pretty fucked up. So here, buddy, take this and give it to the monarchy and let them know what happened. So this guy, I think his name was Venicourt, reads it and he's like, oh, this is pretty fucked up. I'm actually going to go ahead and give it to monarchy, but I'm also going to give it to the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Hmm.
So Deschambre had written a couple of notes himself, too, basically saying every possible means was undertaken to save His Majesty's frigate. Oh, Acadia, can you read this in Frenchy? What I have
Yes,
highlighted
please.
right there?
Every possible means was undertaken to save His Majesty's frigate. I would have the satisfaction of doing so if a strong northwest wind had not been blowing, which destroyed in a short while the efforts that the zeal and enthusiasm of the crew and officers had happily produced.
This man is a politician ahead of his time here, okay?
That was such bullshit because
Yeah.
nobody was happily doing anything.
I mean, people were laid in the hospital with the doctor wearing their clothes.
Exactly. But what they didn't include at the beginning of the quote was, see, what had happened was...
See what that happened was.
And he's like stroking his beard. Well, his total is 380 men, and he did say that 220 were left, but he didn't say anything about the 15 people out of the 150 people on the raft that were still alive. And he also kind of omitted the 17 men who were abandoned on the Medusa. He omitted that because abandoning men on a ship is a capital offense,
Uh-huh.
punishable by death.
To the guillotine.
Yeah, it's guillotinable. Yep. So that's worthy to note that he left that part out.
Of course he did. Yeah, he's like, oh, nope, survivors on the Medusa at all.
So obviously this is all completely fucked. So they get Savigny's kind of like WikiLeaks, kind of sort of like a thing. Like, you know, like when they found out about the soldiers in Iraq that like killed all those reporters.
Right.
And then the WikiLeaks came out with that. And they were like,
This is Julian Assange's great ancestor.
right. And so they were basically like, oh yeah, arrest Julian Assange. They were like that. They were like, oh yeah, arrest Savigny, but don't talk about what's in the thing. Just talk about the messenger. So French people are like pissed off that the monarchy is kind of pulling the same bullshit as before Napoleon and putting aristocrats before the regular people. So Savigny doesn't get prosecuted for this because the people are kind of rising up going, we want a trial. And they end up doing a court-martial. Now, they can only do a court-martial to try people who are in the military. So they can't do shit about stupid-ass Ricafort, and they can't do shit about stupid-ass Governor Schmaltz because they're not in the Navy. So it's a naval court-martial, so the only person that they can court-martial is the captain.
At least we know that justice will be served because that's what happens on our show. Everybody gets what they deserve, right?
In the tradition of Yikes Murder and stuff, everybody's fine. Everybody gets off, basically.
And nothing happens to them.
This is correct.
They all got Felicity Huffman.
Right? Oh my God. They basically have to say there was an error in navigation, it was intentional, and that he proceeded carelessly, and that he had not been the last to leave the ship intentionally, and that he abandoned the raft. He was not guilty of abandoning the raft, and he was only guilty of
Bad taste.
bad taste. Yes, he had good taste. I mean, he knew about the wine.
Bad judgment.
I kept a cool chair.
Yeah, and a sexy mistress, sure. But he was guilty of abandoning the raft, which was a death penalty, but it was only recommended that he get 5 years, but he only actually got 3 years.
Of course.
And everything else was just so lawyered. It was just like, according to this bylaw from this precedent, they basically just said that he's not guilty of everything else because he was stupid. Of leaving the raft, it was extenuating circumstances, but, you know, that's fine. He got the rest of the fleet there, so that's understandable. And so, yeah, you did leave people on the ship, but, you know, bad boy. Here's a slap on the wrist. There's 3 years in a military prison.
I'm surprised he didn't get time served, which would have been nothing.
I don't think that he sat in a jail while this was going on. I believe that he was not in jail, but I could be wrong. 20 years later,
He died while getting a blowjob. Hooray!
Deschambre went to prison for 3 years, and then he retired and moved back in with his mom.
Hey, Mom! Ma! Meatloaf!
Hey, that doesn't eliminate what I said.
That's right. So he had accumulated so much debt that after he died at like age 77, so he lived with his mom for like 20 years. His mother's castle was basically repoed, and his son killed himself. So there you go.
Well, that's some justice. It just took a while.
It's very hard times if your castle gets repoed, okay?
Right, right. I had to live with my mom in her castle.
Oh,
no.
man.
sucks.
Then it got repoed.
And all she wanted me to do was write dolphin porn fanfiction.
Well,
Come on, Jacques, tell me some more of the rapist of the sea.
Oh, dolphin.
I don't know. I've been on Twitter too long to know that shit is out there. So
Unfortunately, okay.
somebody's holding office right now in the United States who writes Bigfoot porn. that is a truth.
Don't put down Bigfoot porn.
Yeah.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Do not put it down, because I'm going to tell you something. I put on my spectacles after a long, hard day. There's nothing more relaxing than a nice story about Bigfoot taking advantage of you, okay? All right.
The thing that's fucked up about this is that I could have plenty to say about Bigfoot porn, but I'm not allowed to talk about my Reddit thing anymore.
That's right.
I've been censored.
You know what? You've been sent to the basement of the castle, Acadia, okay?
That's right. You just hang out there until it gets repoed.
I'll stay down here and haunt everyone.
You already do that, Acadia, okay?
Oh, true.
Gotta find another stick.
If anyone's wondering what happened to Governor Schmaltz, his life went pretty good. He only lived to be 55 years old. He was governor of Senegal for 4 years, and then he was consul general in Turkey, where he died in 1827. So, he lived like he died like he lived.
Well, hey.
Just doing his thing. No problems at all. Everything worked out just fine. So the moral of the story is...
Bad guys always win.
Yep, it'll always work out for you in the end. Don't worry about it. Just live for yourself. Fuck everybody else.
That's right.
And you will be okay.
And guess what? If somebody tries to talk to you about some karma bullshit and they're not a really happy billionaire, then they're full of shit.
Don't listen. The secret? There is no secret. This is the secret. The secret is get yourself a friend, runs a commercial auction, and get some free stuff.
Yep.
And then volunteer at the local hospital.
If life hands you lemons, take the shoes off some drowned people and keep them.
Throw the lemons at people who don't make as much money as you. It could be fun.
Yes. Done.
That's a good time. Well, thank you so much for tuning in yet again to a two-parter. I want to thank Jenny Geeky for helping out with our research.
Thanks, Jenny.
This one was a doozy. We might go ahead and talk about the painting that goes along with this as an extra bonus round. But right now, I'm going to take a nap because this was tough.
This was exhausting.
We're exhausted from all the cannibalism and all of the sunburn.
My mouth is so dry. I need some urine.
I'm going to go pour me a nice long, stream of some sort of urine. Call it a day.
Thank you for our theme song, The Bad Man. Go check him out at See the Bad Man on Twitter. What you got, Katia?
I don't know. SuperFreshGallery.com, StrangefulThings.com, Castle Rock Historical Society, where we gave away a whole fucking loot crate the last time we did a show.
A loot crate, yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
Maybe we'll give away a loot crate on the other show that we're going to have that Mel's is going to talk about.
Woo!
So, yes, join myself and Mr. Acadia on American Horror used to be Stream. Now we're calling it American Horror Stuff, YouTube Live, where we will still, of course, discuss our favorite topic, which is American Horror Story, but we'll also throw in some truly horrific American things that are going on in everyday life. So check us out. That'll be Fridays at 7 Pacific time, 10 o'clock Eastern time, and get to see Katie and myself really, hit home with the hard stuff there, right?
Yeah, come see me hit. I don't feel comfortable about.
Now you know how we feel when you talk about Reddit.
Yeah, well, now all of a sudden, now I feel like, hey, come watch our stream on Pornhub. Like,
I meant the hard-hitting horror
Brazzers.
stories. Forget your head out the gutter. The head's in the Ghana. Get it
I'm
out.
gonna put Brazzers logos on every picture that has anything to do with any of our shows.
Thank you, Justin and Carrie, our amazing patron. We appreciate both of you for being awesome. We love you all, and we'll talk at you again very soon. Bye.
Bye.